Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today we've got the top four tournament decks from the Impulse Pro Series. If you haven't heard the Impulse Pro Series, they're doing a bunch of tournaments that are worth thousands of dollars. So we've got like 200 plus participants, gigantic prize pools, and the top four being entered to an in person invitational style tournament where they travel and can make, I want to say, like 5 grand for winning. So these are huge tournaments where everyone's super try harding, and that means that the data from them is worth looking at. So we're going to look at the top four decks from this tournament. Cool. Before we get started, though, I'd like to invite you to subscribe. Here on the channel, we bring you at least 2 brand new decks every single weekday before the meta adjusts, before the meta finds them. Just so you know what the schedule for the week is looking like here. So today we've got this video. Tomorrow morning, we will have the new Man Thing guide with all the Spotlight Cash guides, multiple decks for all the Spotlight Cash cards, including Man Thing for you to try out. Tuesday night, we're recording Snap Judgments podcast with Lambie. That should be out Thursday. Excuse me, Lambie and the Great Peaceful Sea. That should be out Thursday on the Marvel Snap Zone YouTube and all your favorite podcatchers. Wednesday, we'll have regular decks. Thursday will be a 2 video day. We will have our regular deck videos. And in addition, I'm assuming it's an OTA week. I'm pretty sure we're not on a skip week. Mentally checking. Nope, we're not on a skip week. It will be an OTA video along with our regular deck guide. And then Friday, we'll be back with more deck guides, hopefully with some proven stuff from our first impressions of the OTA. So that's what the rest of this week's schedule look like. If that sounds good to you, please hit that sub button. It does nothing but help us out while it's completely free for you, the viewer. We also bring you the biggest giveaway on Marvel Snap, but we'll talk more about that as we get closer to the end of the month. All right. The decks we're going to talk about today are the Human Spiders number 4 deck. It is twitter.com/THS Marvel Snap. Human Spider is constantly in the top 4 of these tournaments. He finished second in 2 different Snap Battle Arenas. Unbelievable player. We've got Mawil, who I believe is a Japanese player. Twitter.com/SD Sucker Punch. Phenomenal player. Another consistent top tournament finisher. We've got Evazord, a Brazilian player and constantly near the top of the ladder, and a new name, one I don't know, apparently someone who's associated with Team Impulse themselves, Sensor, who won the tournament with a deck where he was the only one who played a deck like that, even though there were 8 in the field, to make the top of the tournament. And finally, if you're interested in this kind of tournament, check out Team Impulse, Impulse_FL on Twitter, or twitch.tv/Team Impulse_FL. The Human Spiders Loki is the 4th place deck. We see 2 Lokis in the top 4. There were 3 Lokis in the top 8, just so you know. And there were 4 Alioths, not the Loki decks, but they were very different Alioth decks. And then we had 2 Thanos decks, a Move deck, and a Shuri deck. That, I think, is the entire top 8. So, just so you know, Loki is still extremely, extremely strong, especially in Conquest. I think Loki is a better Conquest deck than Ladder deck right now, although it's obviously still very strong on Ladder. Loki benefits from you knowing your opponent's deck, and as soon as you do that, you can figure out when and how hard you want to Loki. This deck is different in that it's not running Kitty Pryde. It's instead running, well, basically, honestly, largely Maria Hill and Shang-Chi replace the little Kitty Angela package. Most of the rest is relatively similar to what you'd expect. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm surprised Quinjet's still in the deck. I think it's time to cut that Quinjet from your Loki decks as a rule, at least in Conquest. The most played card in this tournament was America Chavez, and the second most played was Mobius. So if you think you're not seeing Mobius, well, you're still seeing Mobius. We'll see if that adjusts with time. But with Reloki in the top 8 and Mobius giving you at least some play against the card, then it's hard to say you shouldn't be running Mobius. We've got a fairly standard deck other than that. We've got Sentinel over Mirage here, and Cable has seemingly just gone from the deck with his buff to 3/4. I think that made him weaker. Snowguard remains. Maria Hill is excellent because, well, she gives you a chance at a 2-drop unique because there's a lot of like 2s that are really helpful. Like if you pull an Armor or a Luke Cage, right? Or just a Mobius or an other collector or a Jeff. These are all extremely, extremely powerful things you can do. Thanks to Maria Hill, I really have enjoyed her. Shang gives you play against the outside of Loki, it gives you play against the whatchamacallit, the large Red Skull decks of the world, or even the Patriot things that get a little too tall. It's really nice. Coulson's cards can just be backbreaking. I believe that this deck made the top four by pulling a Valkyrie of all cards with that Coulson and using that to to tie a World Chip game when it would have eliminated them. Just awesome stuff. And Legion gives you wins where no other card could. Okay, this is largely only Loki. I'm aware there's 3 other high series cards, but like you only need Loki to run this type of version of the deck. You have Mobius, Jeff, and Legion. If you don't have Legion, run Vision. I think Vision belongs in most decks right now. Vision is suddenly, I think, one of the top 10 cards in Marvel Snap, thanks largely to Alioth, because he gives you a chance to win a lane to sort of juke out Alioth and steal a win. He creates mind games. Mobius can be Elsa or Luke. I really, really didn't like that there was no Elsa in this deck. I think it put the human spider behind the 8 ball. If you have Elsa, I think you have to run her. And if not, Luke is fine. I watched Luke in various forms steal locations that should not have been winnable for players playing Luke. And same thing for Jeff. Jeff can be Kitty or Nightcrawler. Jeff is great here. I think Jeff is actually even harder to replace than Elsa or Legion here. But you'll be fine with Kitty or Luke most of the time. This may be better than the number 2 deck, is what I'm going to say. Number 2 is our other Loki deck, so I think this might be better than that. But your general turn order is turn 1, you want a Quinjet, Maria, or Snowguard. Once you know what your opponent's playing, Quinjet can move from first to last in that order pretty quickly. If you don't have a good 2 in hand that you want to play, then Maria can just become the priority 1 no matter what. Turn 2, you basically always want to get Collector out. After Collector, it's Mobius, and then Sentinel, then Jeff. Jeff is often better once you have a better idea of locations. You can play him early, but I'd rather get the other cards out, assuming that there's open locations. Turn 3, unless you just top deck Collector and have a 1, the play is basically always Coulson. Coulson can offer you such versatility that, like, it's really hard not to use him. Like a Coulson to pull a surprise Shang-Chi if they're playing Ramp, for example, is stellar. Turn 4, Loki plus a 1. And once you Loki, I can no longer give you advice, right? But please snap around Collector or Loki if you have them. Like Collector, if you have Loki and hand, snap before Collector. And if you draw Loki and already have Collector out, you generally snap right around Loki. Again, assuming you know what they're playing and know what's happening, but your board position is reasonably strong. So you're playing Loki and a 1, and once you Loki and a 1, I can't really. Sorry, the 1 comes before Loki usually. If that 1 is Maria or Snowguard, it comes after Loki if it's Quinjet. Doesn't super matter. I can't give you advice for what to play after you Loki because, well, you've got whatever their deck is. Play as much as you can, get some power on the board. And you traditionally don't want to wait to do that in case they have a Mobius that they can play later or a wave or something. So you just want to play Loki and like sort of drop your hand as best you can. And with the exception of fully filling locations. If not, you're usually playing the Coulson card here. You can sometimes play 2/2s. A Sentinel and a Jeff is fine. Turn 5, you want a Legion or Coulson card. And turn 6, you want to Legion. And if Legion's going to win you the game and you have Legion, you're not Lokiing, you should like 100% snap. You also, if a Legion can win you the game and you're Lokiing on 3 or 4 and don't have Legion in hand, want to snap because that's still like you're very likely to see that Legion and then win. Turn 6 is Legion or Coulson card or Chavez. And that's basically the gist. There are times when Legion and Snowguard or Legion and Maria are the right play on the last turn of the game. Please note that either one of those is the same power as Chavez, but it gives you the option to spread them out. Quick variant talk, because we got a lot of decks to get through. I went and bought the $1,200 Noir Coulson because I have the Noir Maria Hill, and I hated the Coulsons I had. I had the Pixel, the Chibi, and the random 6-pack one from the bundle, and I don't like the Pixel at all. The Chibi is okay, except I don't really love Chibis, and the 6-pack one just doesn't feel anything like Coulson. So I went and got this one. It now fits with Maria Hill. It looks great. I'm super happy with it. We've got a 1, 2, 3, 4 hip deck with Collector, Jeff, Mobius, and Legion. Nice. Not as many hips as we like, but pretty good. This is my favorite Snowguard, although I do have the Spotlight one just from opening. Love this Quinjet. This Sentinel comes from a season pass. I want to say the Nimrod season. It seems most likely. I have 2 different legions, like 3 different Shangs. This is easily my favorite. I go back and forth on the legion, and this is a really nice America I opened like a week ago. I love the background. I love the pose. It feels very American Chavez. Next up, we have Swen's Rank. That didn't make top 4. In fact, this deck did. This My Wheel deck did, but they're the same deck. They're 2 cards apart. So we're just going to take a look quickly at what those 2 cards are. If you're curious about Swen's Thanos, these are all made by Streamer Johnson, who is a absolutely phenomenal creator and made top 8 and then lost in the top 8 with the deck. With this exact version of the deck, check yesterday's video from me if you would like to see more about this deck. I covered this deck and Peaceful Seas Thanos deck in yesterday's video. But the differences here are basically no leader, and instead we have Shang-Chi and Cosmo over Mobius. The idea being Loki is actually a pretty decent matchup usually for this deck because like they're just not getting amazing stuff, and you still have your Professor X and Alioth to like lock things up, and Devil Dino's pretty damn big for most Loki decks. So Loki can struggle against this. So since Loki can struggle against this, you don't super need Mobius. Meanwhile, Cosmo can lock down a Loki, can beat the Patriot Brood list pretty damn well, and Shang-Chi can help you against that Red Skull matchup. So I get the changes. Not sure which is better. That's going to need some more testing, but this one reached number 1 in the game, and this one was the number 3 deck of this tournament. So, hey, pretty damn good for such a new deck. All right, you're going to need Elsa for this. I think Elsa is what takes this deck from tier 2 to tier 1, bluntly. Earlier versions of this, after the Spider-Man change, we're running, what's her name? Angela for power. Elsa makes that power much more spreadable. Even if you're just getting a Jeff or a Space Stone move, that's so much extra power. Like, Elsa's absolutely stellar here. I think you need Jeff too. I think you can play Thanos Professor X decks without running I think you can play a Thanos Professor X deck just fine without running Jeff, but you kind of need Claw if you're going to do that. And we cannot fit Claw here. I could not figure out how. I guess you can, if you can remove Shang, you can play Claw, and then you can play something else in that Jeff spot. Cosmo's here over Mobius. We already said that, and Shang is over Leader. So if you don't have Alioth, you can throw Leader in and just keep Shang. All right, Thanos is back. So turn 1, you want a stone that draws. Mind is your goal. Turn 2, Elsa's better than Jeff. Turn 3, Time Stone or Psylocke with whatever else you can. Turn 4, Professor X over Vision, over Devil Dino, over Blue Marvel, over Lad. If you know your opponent doesn't have Shang, then sometimes Devil Dino can be more important than Vision. Same order, except by turn 5, you just want to get Vision out, especially if you have Alioth, because that's your turn 6 play. If you have Leader instead of Alioth, then Leader is your turn 6 play. Once in a while, you can decide to play something else on turn 6, like Devil Dino and a Mind Stone to go so big, or a Blue Marvel if you know you just need to go wide. Quick variant talk. We've got 1 hip, 2 hip, 3, 4, 5. With Elsa, the best Elsa, Jeff, the best Jeff, Iron Lad, the best Iron Lad, Blue Marvel, the best Blue Marvel, and Alioth, High Gengar. This is my favorite Thanos. I still don't love this Vision. Again, nothing in the art. I think the art is great and the animation is great. I don't like all white Vision. I love this Professor X. I decided to switch Devil Dinos from and use the Robo instead of the cute Bootsy one. But we've got Cosmo being a happy good dog underwater, and I need a Psylocke variant. I'm holding out for the hip. I keep seeing Psylocke variants, but I want that hip Psylocke. By the way, longtime viewers, if you're not subscribed to my Twitter, I got the hip Zabu, and I couldn't be happier. I like squealed. I was in a restaurant. It was a thing. Next up, we have Evazord's Loki. Evazord is so good. Unfortunately, he streams in Portuguese. He is Brazilian, but Evazord is so good and played this deck like a freaking king. Here we have the Kitty Angela package, and we ditch the other ones, which is wild to me. Not running Maria Hill right now is strange, but hey, look, second place, right? Instead, we have sort of, this is similar to those all-in on Loki builds that, well, honestly, Fazer started playing like as soon as Loki came out, and then after some nerfs, Dara made famous. Mirage is so good right now in the meta. Mirage is so good. And one of the best things about Loki is everyone's running Elsa. And if you have Elsa out and then you get their Elsa, you're getting +6 for every card there. Kitty's getting +6 every time. Jeff is getting +6. It's nuts. And then it like God, if you do that with a Mirage card, like they don't play Kitty for a turn, you get that with a Mirage, you're getting +8 on that Kitty for one play, and then like, or you can get a +5 Jeff or a Mobius that's a 5. It is so good. I think we are at the Mirage meta that we thought would happen when Loki first came out. Changing Cable and now like the way Elsa works, I think Mirage is great. Yeah, but Loki getting an Elsa is like chef's kiss beautiful. Luke Cage is here, I assume, because Eva decided that Shadow King was going to be a Loki counter, and then there was like no Shadow King in the tournament. There was some, but like nowhere near as much as you would expect given all the Loki and all the different decks it hit. So Luke was mostly like a dead card, except for locations, right? You see the -2 location in a conquest match, and all of a sudden Luke gives you a huge advantage. Luke basically means you're at like +6 or +8 at that location, which is pretty darn good. It's like just a free +8 at a location for your other cards being played there is awesome. Everything else is reasonably self-explanatory, but once again, look at this beautiful Coulson. All right, replacement. You need Kitty and Elsa for this version, but Snowguard can be Agent 13. It is worse, but any substitution is worse. Agent 13 at least gives you an extra card still. Mirage can be Sentinel. Again, it is worse. I think Mirage is straight up better right now, but I get the value of Sentinel because you know what you're going to get. You know you can play it if you. And 4, play Loki. This deck is like all about playing Loki. It very rarely wins without like Coulson high rolls without Loki. All in is still the highest win rate Loki. So turn 1, Kitty is greater than Snowguard, usually because you want to save Snowguard for right about when you're going to Loki. Sometimes it's not. I also like to save Snowguard because sometimes you need to like Snowguard after you Loki because that bird is game winning. Collector is better than Elsa, which equals Angela. I think Elsa's usually better than Angela unless you already have a Kitty that you know you're going to get going. But sometimes Angela's just nuts. Then Mobius, then Mirage, then Jeff, then Luke. I think I changed my mind. Elsa's better than Angela. So Elsa greater than Angela equals Mobius, then Mirage, then Jeff. Let's go that way. Coulson is here, or a 2 and a draw. The 2s are generally more important than Coulson here, so if you can get a 2 out with that Snow Guard, which the draw has to be, then you're in decent shape. That's another reason I like Maria Hill in this deck. I think I'd probably run Maria over Luke. Turn 4 is Loki or the Coulson card. Turn 5, Loki into 2 or a Coulson card. If you top decked Collector and you had Loki, it's a hell of a combo, right? And then you just sort of like fill your damn hand, and then you drop as wide as you can on turn 6. And it's worth noting that sometimes Kitty is absolutely huge from Elsa, and that becomes your plan. That is particularly your plan when beautifully you get 2 Elsas and you're getting +6 on Kitty twice. It's so backbreaking. Elsa is amazing right now, and amazing in Loki because again, double Elsa is unreal. It's unreal to the point where I spent like an hour trying to theorycraft something with Elsa and Moon Girl, and I couldn't quite make it work. Because if you can double freaking Elsa on 5 and then play some stuff on 6, you're gonna win that game. All right. Next up, we have Avazor. Sorry, mental rewind. Instead, let's take a look at our variants. You'll note we have the same hips here as the last time. This is my favorite kitty. I have the bundle kitty from recently. This one's just better. I more and more like this Angela. I have the anime Angela from like a bundle in January that I run most of the time. But the ribbon on this has grown on me a lot. I also just think it fits well with the vibe of Collector, Snow Guard, and Kitty here. Luke, Cage Fight Luke is my favorite, like it even better than the hip. I just think he looks really cool and it suits the character. I bought this Mirage. I think this is the best Mirage, despite it being kind of expensive. I knew I was going to play a lot more Mirage after all the changes, and I have not been disappointed. And we talked about these other cards, except this Loki I like better than literally every other Loki they have made or spoiled, and they gave it to me for when I bought Loki in the first place, so thanks. This America Chavez is a bundle one. I have it with a gold background. It's great. I don't like it quite as much as the one from the previous one, but I think it's still pretty damn good. Our winner is Brood Me. I've been telling you, I think Brood Me is the best deck forever. It won another tournament. Look, it could still be Loki. It could be that Thanos deck. It could even be some kind of move Alioth thing. But Brood Me is so consistent and so strong. It's hard for me to like it's so easy to play and so strong, and Elsa helps take it to another level. It's worth noting that playing Brood and Patriot on the same turn, or Brood and Jeff on the same turn, will not trigger Elsa. It needs to be staged and resolved for Elsa to work. So you want to get that Brood out and then fill it a different turn if possible. But America means you just very often see Brood and Absorbing Man, or Brood and Iron Lad, which can then hit Absorbing Man, and it's great. And if you get Elsa out, then right, like you can then drop an 11 power Vision or a 6 power Jeff, and then you can pump that stuff, all the other stuff further with a Surfer that will then be a 5 power Surfer or a 4 power Patriot. It's great. And when that's not going to win you the game, when you know they can't go as big as your like super monster lane that has like all of your broodlings, right? Your 5 power broodlings in it, and then a 6 power Jeff on top, and you know they can't top that in one turn. And there's not much in another spot. Alioth just wins you the game. This deck is sick. So I don't think this deck works without Iron Lad, and they refuse to put Iron Lad in Spotlight Caches. I'm very sorry. But I think Iron Lad is an absolute necessity for this deck, and I don't think he's replaceable. You're playing a different deck without the Lad. Elsa is great though. I think Elsa is what really takes this to another level. If you don't have Alioth, I'd play Legion or Blue Marvel or Iron Man. Legion's probably the best, then Blue Marvel, then Iron Man, but do what you think is best. I think again, Alioth is really good. He's the best closer in the game right now. I think he's by far the best 6 in the game at this exact moment. Turn by turn. Turn 1 you're skipping because you don't have any ones. Turn 2, you've got Forge. It's better than Elsa, but you're perfectly happy playing Elsa. Turn 3, Brood is better than Sinister. You would really prefer to get Brood down, but Sinister is not a bad backup. Turn 4 is the key turn. You really, really, really want Absorb Man for that Brood or Sinister. Obviously, much better if you Brood. If you missed but you played Brood or Sinister, then you'd play Iron Lad here, because Iron Lad can just hit that Brood or Sinister, and then that works fine. You're just spending 4 or 5 doing it instead of 3 4, but you have the extra power of Lad, so it balances out more or less. Turn 5, Vision or Elsa and Patriot or Surfer. So Vision, if he's filling a lane, usually with Forge, or if you think they're going to Alioth because you want to have him down to counter that. If not, Elsa and then Patriot or Surfer to fill a lane is just an absolute ton of power. It usually closes off one lane as a victory so that you can Alioth. Or if you don't have Alioth, you can just drop Patriot and Surfer and say, I have crazy power now. Top it. This is the first place deck. Quick variant talk. We've talked about most of these. I still really dislike this Forge. No offense to the artist. I love this Mr. Sinister. It feels appropriately sinister. Sinister in the recent runs of Marvel has been fan-freaking-tastic. I bought the Hip Brood because this deck was hip light, so now we've got 4 hips in it, an appropriate amount. 5 hips in it? 5 hips in it, an appropriate amount. This Patriot, I have gold background. It's gorgeous. This is my favorite Surfer, my favorite Patriot. Basically, every card in this deck. I've got better Americas, but I like this America for this deck. It feels like it fits it. I don't know why, but it does for me. If I had a Forge, and I like this Absorb Man a lot, but there's a hip that's better. So if I had a better Forge than the hip Absorb Man, this would be an absolutely gorgeous deck. As is, it's quite good still. All right, that's the coverage of the tournament for today. Please check back tomorrow for Man Thing decks along with Lady Deathstrike and what's that last card? Whatever that last card is. I promise you, the slideshow is made. We're ready to tell you about the Spotlight caches for next week. Whether you Silver Samurai, it's my guy Samurai. Whether you should open or not for them and everything else. Please hit that sub button. You made it this far. Like, comment, show some love. We appreciate you as always. Peace.